Alright, it's happening. Today, let's talk about how to edit your videos. Whether you are an aspiring filmmaker, content creator, or just generally want to document your life better, knowing how to edit videos can be one of the best skills that you can learn. Besides getting crusty and not leaving your chair for a week straight, there is a lot that goes into editing a video. Over the course of my creator journey, there are two reasons why I wanted to learn how to edit by myself. I wanted to control the process from start to finish, and I didn't want to rely on anybody. Now that I'm saying that out loud, I should reflect on that. Truthfully, it can be so frustrating when all you want to do is create something, but you constantly struggle to put it together in the edit. So today I want to share with you a few tricks that I've learned over the past couple of years creating content, filming solo, and keeping it simple enough that you can implement them today in your workflow if you want to. We are going to cover gear, storyboarding, pre-processing, and even how to use your visuals for better storytelling. Let's get into it. Alright, so we're gonna edit most of this in my house because chances are if you're watching this, you probably just spent a week of filming and you're definitely not getting dressed to do anything, but stay home. But anything can be applied to wherever you decide to edit. Things you'll need. A laptop. Whatever laptop you have is good, though I recommend having one that's powerful enough to edit. A mouse, a keyboard. Knowing the basic shortcuts can save you a lot of time when you're editing, so I recommend checking out the ones that are used the most, depending on your software, and eventually creating your own. As for footage, whatever you can get your hands on in the beginning is good, but you're gonna have to decide eventually if you want to go down the log route or if you want a more straightforward process with Rec. 709. Log is better if you really want to get into color grading, but it'll take more time and it'll require a more complicated process. But it's definitely worth the extra step in my opinion. Along with that, you're gonna need an editing program of some sort. The ones that are usually used are Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and Premiere Pro. DaVinci Resolve is the only one with a free version that is totally usable. Final Cut Pro is known for its user-friendly interface and seamless integration with Mac. DaVinci Resolve is mostly used for its color grading tools, and Premiere Pro is a bit more complicated, but it's widely used in the industry. But I mostly use DaVinci and Final Cut. Oh, that felt good. Now I'm gonna show you things that I personally use. You don't need them, but when I'm editing, I use them all the time. Since footage takes up a lot of space, a good thing to get would be an SSD. I've got this cheap one off of Amazon, but there are other options. If you're going to record voiceovers, you're gonna need a mic of some sort. I've got this wireless one from Rode. This is the wireless go-to. And if you want to focus on sound effects and music, investing in a good pair of headphones can make a difference in hearing the audio details. Alright, next up, if you're a brother, you can get a monitor. Now, this is a luxury, but it is definitely a comfort when your editing gets complex or if you're color grading. One thing that's important is that you love your setup and your workspace, whatever you decide using, as long as you stay inspired and creative. I'll link all my gear in the description below, if that helps. There are so many aspects to making a video. Idea, story, scripting, composition, lighting, and of course, storyboarding. Alright, now that we have all that we need, you're gonna have to have some kind of direction or story. For that, we're gonna take it all the way back to before filming, to the pre-production. Having a clear script and a basic storyboard is the one thing that is going to transform your videos and save you crazy amounts of time, because you know exactly what you want to shoot and how it's serving the story. Basically, it's a way to visualize your script and know where every shot goes in a storyline. It doesn't have to be beautiful or detailed, simple sketches or notes will do. It's also the time to think about cool transitions. If I was not storyboarding, I don't think I would have thought about doing that. Now, I feel like pre-production is a matter of personality. Some prefer to have everything planned out beforehand, and some prefer going with the flow. So I would recommend trying both and figuring out what works best for you. I needed that. So today we are gonna edit this video and I'll show you exactly how I use my storyboard up in this stage. Editing can definitely be tedious, and if you don't have a clear story in mind, it'll take even longer, and if your footage is all over the place, it's easy to get lost and lose the plot. I've noticed a big difference in the quality of my videos when I first started storyboarding. Though it's an extra step, it's definitely worth the time for me. In short, it makes my life easier. Once your footage is ready, imported, and organized, we can start editing it. So basically, my process is pretty straightforward from this point. So first I look at all my clips and select the best ones. And with that, I make a rough cut based off my storyboard. What I try to keep in mind when I'm in the first stages of an edit is that each shot has to move the story forward. If it doesn't, then it has to go. I know, it breaks my heart too. Lastly, I use voiceovers, music, sound effects, and finally, after days of sitting and not leaving my house, I export it. Now, let's talk about storytelling. While most of the story is determined by the pre-production, it is the editing that makes it come to life. So when it comes to an edit, I usually start off by looking for a song for the section that I'm going to edit. I personally use Epidemic Sound. You can check it out in my description, though this is not sponsored. Please, Epidemic Sound, reach out to me. They have a huge library of songs and sound effects with pretty cool features along the way. But if you don't want to spend any money, you can always check out copyright-free tracks. And YouTube Studio has some features with sound effects and music that you can have for free. So I'd recommend checking that out first. I start by searching up the genre or mood that I'm looking for, and I find a couple of options. Your music choices will affect the mood, the emotions, and the rhythm of the video. The wrong track and you'll convey a totally different feeling and story. So here are a few tips. Listen to a lot of different types of music while looking at your footage. This helps me know if the music and the clips work together to create the right emotions. Be patient. That's probably the hardest part, but sometimes I spend days looking for the right tracks and sometimes I even change it along the way. Once I find the perfect song, I download, drop it in the timeline, and then I'll paste the edit to the song. At this point, if you're not listening to the same song until you know every beat by heart and you sing it even when you're not editing anymore, you were doing something wrong. From there, I layer sound effects for a more immersive and cinematic experience. Sound design is extremely important. It determines the overall mood and the outcome of your video. And it's the thing that makes your footage come alive. Usually when I look for sound effects, I try to add ambient sounds. This could be city traffic, bird chirping, That's also the moment when room tone hum is going to start sounding like honey to your ears. Sometimes you might need to add sound effects for the action of the clip. This could be pen sounds, keyboard sounds, depending on what's happening on screen. And finally, I use accents such as whooshes or risers to add tension or make transitions flow more naturally. These subtle sounds can make your video feel more realistic and immersive. Alright, time for some color grading. This is usually a whole session of its own. I personally use vlog footage and I still feel like I haven't found the perfect process to get the nicest looking shot, but it's a work in progress. But as I navigate through this, I make sure all my colors are consistent throughout the edit so that it creates a consistent look and feel. I wish I could say I have a very balanced and effective process all the time, but most of the time I'm all over the place and I always feel like I'm running after time. At the end of the day, editing is just a tool to help convey the story you're trying to tell. Make creative decisions that aid what's already going on in the scene. These are visual cues to let whoever's watching know how to feel or what to watch out for. You're not always going to be able to create the perfect vision you have in your mind the first time. You're gonna miss some grading and have to go back. You'll listen to the same song for 4 days in a row and run back to your camera countless of times. But eventually, you'll get better at it. At feeling for the right track, knowing the right tweak of color, the more you edit. I learned to enjoy the process of editing because it takes up so much of my time, especially if I'm trying to figure things out for the first time. I used to be very discouraged by this, but I guess there's always going to be some times where I have to start over and get things done and maybe, hopefully, work out towards better, more balanced process. There's always going to be something that you can improve, but you can find what works for you and what way you like to work, and I promise it'll be such a better experience when you take the time to figure out how you like to create. But when the right music, the right shots, and the right edit come together and create the feeling you were looking for, it makes every second of work completely worth it. And you'll find yourself wanting to do it all over again.